Hello aspirants and welcome again to Legacy IAS Academy. In this current affairs lecture, we will be discussing the secondary sanctions that Donald Trump has threatened to impose on anyone or any country who imports Iranian oil. So we'll see what this threat is all about and what are secondary sanctions, how are they different from primary sanctions, so on and so forth. So what's the news exactly? The news is about Donald Trump. A fresh warning. He is issuing warning left, right, center about tariffs. Trade war is happening already. So now another warning is there. What is that? He has said that anyone buying from Iran could face secondary sanctions. Now, since Iran is in news, it becomes really important for your prelims. Map-based questions can be asked. Any country, any region in news, you should be studying them, locating them on the map to understand where they are. Does that country surround any sea? Any sea surrounds that country, so on and so forth. So this is where Iran is. It borders the Caspian Sea as well as the Persian Sea. This becomes important for your examination. Let's move ahead. So that's how you should study the map-based questions. Let's move ahead. This is the original tweet of Mr. Donald Trump. He's saying that any country or any person buys any amount. So there is no limitation as such of 1 barrel, 1 million barrel, 1 million barrel or 1 lakh barrel, anything like that. Any country buying any amount of oil or petrochemicals. So what is the difference here? Oil, basically talking about the crude oil. Now that crude oil gets converted into different petrochemical products after refining and so on and so forth. So any amount of oil or petrochemicals from Iran, if they buy, they will be subjected immediately to secondary sanctions. So let us now understand what is secondary sanctions. For that, we need to first understand the primary sanction. So let's say the two countries involved here are USA and Iran, right? These are the two countries involved. Now when USA says directly to Iran that, boss, I'm not going to buy anything from you, I'm not going to sell anything to you, or it says that I'm not going to buy these things from you and I'm not going to sell these things to you, basically stopping the trade that is happening. So if USA stops the trade to trade directly with Iran, that is a primary sanction because two countries are involved over there. One country is imposing sanction to the other country. That's a primary sanction. Till here, it's fair enough. Two countries, you decide what you want to do. But then what happens is USA, knowing that it has some amount of, in fact, a huge amount of hard and soft power and has a lot of influence over the world. So what it does, it stretches its power. And what it does, it says that any country, for example, let's take for example, it's India, right? It says any country, that country can be India as well. If it tries to buy Iranian oil, then USA will impose sanction on that country as well. So when USA was directly imposing sanction on Iran, that was your primary sanction. When USA will impose a sanction on a country, that can be India as well, who is importing oil from a country, that is Iran, whom USA has already primarily sanctioned, then USA will impose sanction on this oil buying country as well, which can be India, and this sanction will be known as secondary sanction. So remember, for secondary sanction, minimum 3 countries are required. Primary sanction can happen between two countries itself. So this is the concept of primary and secondary sanctions. Moving ahead, now the question is, will the secondary sanctions hit India? That is the $1 million or $1 billion question. Now we'll understand from two perspectives. One is the present situation of India's oil import, and second with respect to India's foreign policy. So the very first concept here is about the present situation. We see that up to 2019, Iran was the third highest exporter of oil to India. So India was receiving oil from various countries. Iran was the third highest provider of crude oil to India, third largest supplier until 2019. Now since then, what has happened? It has not imported oil from India. That means India has not imported oil from Iran as of April 2025. Why? Due to the ongoing US sanctions. US has already put certain sanctions on Iran, so India as such has stopped. Not because India is threatened because of that, but we already have other players who are providing us with oil at a good rate. So we are basically importing from Iraq, Saudi Arabia, Russia, and the United Arab Emirates. In fact, to make a point over here, USA had also imposed sanctions on Russia and has also threatened to impose secondary sanctions on countries importing oil from Russia. But India still continued to import oil from Russia, Russia being all-weather friends. There have been ups and downs, but to an extent all-weather friend, as a result of which India has still continued. And since India has all these countries to import oil from, it is not as such hard fast a rule to import from Iran as well. So India can for now be okay with it, and maybe in future imports might be possible when the sanctions are eased or lifted. So that is the situational perspective. However, if it so happens that one of these players or few of these players back out, or there is a scarcity of oil and we have to import oil from Iran, then what do you think India will do? India would then go ahead and make a deal, because India follows de-hyphenation policy. Now, what is de-hyphenation policy? So if you're talking about de-hyphenation, this dash in between two words which are joined with the help of this dash is known as hyphen. So this is a thing which joins two words. When you remove this hyphen, it becomes de-hyphenation. Similar is the concept of India's foreign policy, wherein India follows de-hyphenation policy. It says that, so here we see the flags of India, Russia, and USA. So what India says is, for example, what I have to do with Russia has nothing to do with USA. So my relationship with Russia has nothing to do with USA. That is what it says to USA. And to Russia, it will say, my relationship with USA has nothing to do with my relationship with you. That means what? I will deal with each country specifically, individually, on case-by-case basis. Just because you two might be fighting with each other doesn't mean I fight with both, or I take one of the country's sides and not deal with anyone else or any other country. So that is the concept of de-hyphenation policy. What my relationship with you, it has nothing to do with my relationship with someone else, right? As a result of which, if USA is imposing sanctions on Iran, if there is a need for India to buy oil from Iran, India would simply say that I don't care. It's your issue, you deal out with it, I am not bothered. However, there can be then certain more tariffs, or then the Cold War or the tariff war or the trade war kind of situation can start. But India is very stern on its de-hyphenation policy. It will follow that when it feels like. If not, you cannot force India to follow it, is the stance of India through its de-hyphenation policy. Now, one interesting angle this particular warning gives is the fact that it is China who is the top buyer of Iranian oil. And what is happening already is USA-China trade war. In fact, China has had the edge since the beginning of this trade war, right? And has overpowered USA because of that. So having said that, this step that Donald Trump has taken, or the warning, can actually be sensed to be hinted or targeted towards China, because China is the top buyer of Iranian oil. China imported a record 1.8 million barrels of Iranian crude oil in March. So 1.8 million barrels per day is what we are talking about. Also, nearly 90% of Iran's crude oil and condensate exports in 2023 went to China. So it's China that has the major dealing with Iran. So it can be seen to be directed towards China. Now, coming on to the fact, why is that so? Why is USA president threatening for secondary sanction, and why it has imposed primary sanctions already on Iran? One of the reason is the US-Iran nuclear talks in Oman that have stalled. What is this nuclear talk all about? See, Iran wants to have weaponization, nuclear weaponization, to safeguard its own interest, at the same time not proliferated. So the US-Iran nuclear deal is all about ensuring that these highly enriched uranium does not go into the hand of non-state actors. It is also used for peaceful purposes. It is not mass weaponization in order to attack some other country. So it needs to be within rules and regulations. So that is what this talk or deal is going to be all about. But that has been stalled for now, as a result of which infuriating USA, and hence USA coming up with secondary sanctions. Primary sanctions were already imposed, but now because of this delay, secondary sanctions are being imposed as well. Right. Now there can be other reasons as well. One such can be the issue of Iranian-backed Houthi rebels in USA. So Iran is backing a terror organization, Houthis, in which are rebelling in Yemen. Right, and USA has already ongoing operation known as Operation Rough Rider against these Iranian-backed Houthi rebels. Now, when this intensifies, so here the operation will continue, but USA would again want to impose certain pressure financially, trade-wise, etc., etc. So this can also be said to be one of the reasons why these secondary sanctions are coming up. However, when it comes to the stalling nature of the US-Iran nuclear deal, it has been said by Iranian officials that this talk is not delayed because of us. This talk was supposed to happen in Oman, and due to technical and logistics reason from the side of Oman, the request came to delay it. We are not responsible, and we are looking forward to this talk for peaceful resolution of the Iran-US nuclear deal. Thank you.